So when I'm ready, right? Yeah. Next clap. That's what you wanted? All right, cool. Wakanda forever. Yeah, I'm from Wakanda. Yeah, for real, I am. From a place with great resources, untapped potential. So much is going on for our continent of Africa, a place of great diversity, many languages, many tribes. I hail from a land called Zambia, the place which boasts of the Victoria Falls, one of the seven wonders of the world. Now, in every generation, the critical mass that has brought about change has been the youth in any generation. As far back as any revolution that you could think of, the youths have been the center, at the helm of any great development for their societies. So as every time I think about development and I think about changing our communities, changing the places we live in, I'm thinking about who are the youths who are around us? Who are the young people doing great things? From the great lands where Greta comes from the small boy called David who's slayed Goliath, and from the many other young people who've done great things in their countries, we see that they've always been that young critical mass. And so when I graduated from campus, the University of Zambia, I decided with my friends that we need to contribute to our communities. Other than getting the monies from our careers and driving the fancy cars and getting all the glitter, the things that this life can afford us, when all is said and done here, what will matter will not be how much money we had in our bank accounts. What will matter is what impact have we left on our communities. And so I sought to go on a discovery. In Swahili, we call it jujue, self-discovery. And so to kind of understand what is it that I want to do for my life, to impact my community. And I kind of found my area of influence. And my area of influence was my mouth. It was my speech. It was the ability to stand up in front of crowds and be able to inspire them to do something great for their own lives, great for their own families, great for their own communities. And so we began a movement, an organization called Humanity Challenge Organization. And what we decided to do was to inspire the youths in our communities with education, with mentorship, with recreation facilities, and currently now with advocacy programs. Because we know that when everything is said and done, it all boils down to leadership. Nations have rose, nations have come down because of leadership. Have bad leadership, and you have a bad society. And so we try and struggle day in and day out, planting those seeds of greatness. Because when 20 years, 30 years, 50 years is done, the seeds would have grown up. I like a quote which says that they killed us, but they did not know that we're seeds. And the seeds decided to grow from the soils and emerge as strong trees that would build resilient societies and communities. So I challenge you to take a step. I challenge you to take a commitment, to live beyond the memes, to live beyond Facebook and Instagram, to live beyond the likes and the comments from your friends, and to live for a higher purpose, because you were created for a higher purpose. Wakanda forever. For a leader, any person, what they should aspire for is two things: professional development, right, and personal development. I find this going on back home, that we aspire to lead our communities, we aspire to better our communities, but while we do that, we live our families, we live our lives in complete mess because there's no personal development, right? So you'll find great men have done great things in the communities, but when we come back to their personal lives, they're a mess. And so I decided to do kind of a balance: personal development and professional development or community development. So in my personal aspects, I decided, I gave myself a 5-year plan that I would like to get my degree, okay, my bachelor's degree, then move on to my master's degree, and raise and establish the organization, Humanity Challenge Organization. Thankfully, I managed to obtain my bachelor's degree, in agricultural science, went on to obtain my master's degree in project management to enable me implement the activities rightly and get the results from what we want. Okay, now, how that ties in with organization I founded with my friends is this. I'm a Mandela Fellow, okay? I first came to Bonn in 2017, and my life changed to a great degree because of my experience with the Mandela Fellowship. I was able to interact with a number of people, students at Upstate, the faculty, and many people coming in from the fellowship itself. And we're able to be given basic skills on how to grow an organization sustainably. When I went back home, I was able to implement these things. Things like how to do grant writing, grant drafting, grant writing, right? How to implement those activities, how to source for other funding through fundraising ventures, but also how to build other leaders. One thing that you find when you walk around many organizations, they are personalized organizations because someone had the dream, and when that person dies, the organization is dead or the movement is dead. So what we've been doing as an organization has been growing leaders to take over from me, the executive director. So we've got a whole profile of other leaders, right, who are running the organization. We've got 4 major thematic areas. Education. We've been offering free tuition to those who can't afford private lessons. What we found out was that the reason why people were unable to get to higher learning institutions, competitive higher learning institutions, is because they lacked coaching. And so through our program, we offered them free tuition. And we've had great success. Some of our students have gone on to get highly competitive scholarships, right? Secondly, we have mentorship. The reason that certain people decide and say, I only remain at this stage of life and want to aspire for much more is because they keep a certain clique of friends, all right? So what we did is we offer mentorship. We connect these students, these pupils, or our youths in the communities to influential people who can pour their lives into them. So we've got guys who are doctors and we pair them with doctors. We've got guys who want to be politicians, we pair them with politicians, right? Apart from that, we've got recreation. We now heading into this department because we want to develop thriving youth hubs using the play parks that we have as a nation. They've largely remained dormant and inactive, but we are now sourcing for partnerships, sourcing for networks, and see who we can work with in building these thriving youth centers. The last one I'm really excited about is advocacy. And through advocacy, we managed to win a grant with Action Aid, and which is building leaders to take over elective positions in our country. So we want a number of our youths to stand for parliamentary positions, being a member of parliament, and even aspiring to be president. And so what we're doing is that we have many civic engagements, town hall meetings, we have community debates, we have plenary discussions where we bring in mayors, district commissioners, councillors to sit down and begin to talk and engage with the government regards the things which are affecting our communities. It's when we hold our leaders accountable and when we also give an opportunity to youth to be those leaders themselves, then we see a growing community, we see a nation rising up from the ashes. So that's about our organization, Humanity Challenge Organization. It's now 5 years old. We're still growing strong, I pray. And the future only looks bright from here. We have challenges of our own back home in Zambia. You guys are blessed here, right? You've got 24 hours of electricity, right? I haven't experienced any power outages. Back home, we've just increased the load shedding. We only have about 8 hours of electricity per day. Now that decreases your productivity, right? Our water levels in the country are going down. Corruption is on the rise. We're going more and more into debt. But like I said, it's Wakanda forever. We're coming from a place of great resources, but we're not utilizing the best of our potential. But we are the leaders, and we're rising up to the occasion, and we hope to drive our nation and our continent to great levels of development. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks. Oh yeah, yeah. Come in here, right? Yeah. So I've been here before. First I was here in 2017, right? So no, no, just for 6 weeks. Yeah, 6 weeks. But then moved to DC. I was there for some time too, before I went back home. Now, when I just arrived, let me talk about when I just arrived. Whoa, culture shock was major. Yeah, many things are different. Firstly, I noticed that everyone was relaxed. Like he's relaxed. Yeah, 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 yeah. Back home, I don't have a lecturer who's as relaxed as he is, and as in relaxed in a very good way, because you get to interact and talk about your fears, your weaknesses, and stuff like that, right? Then your dress code too is very relaxed. You could come to class in a short, which is really good too. Yeah. So that was a culture shock for me. Yeah. The other one was the mode of instruction. Your classes are not so structured, like I mean, very formal and whatnot. You kind of flow, and you are given a leeway to make mistakes. When I went back home, I was like, wow, these guys are given an opportunity to mess up. It's like, which is good, because if you're given an opportunity to make mistakes, like I could hear as he was instructing, like, we can get the shots wrong, that's fine. That's good. It gives an opportunity to learn, right? That was a cultural shock, I think. But the major one was, let's see, the major cultural shock, I think, for me was the food. Yeah, I miss the food back home, right? Our staple food back home is cornmeal. It's made into some flour, white. So you cook it with hot water, then you eat it with your relish meat. So you make some gravy with your meat and some collard greens, like that, and really filling and stuff. Then when we got here, your meals are a lot of greens, not too elaborate, not very filling. Like, yeah, yeah. That was some cultural shock for me. Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So first day at app school, timekeeping. You guys are really big on timekeeping. We are too, but our lecture was going to be at 8 a.m. Then we were seated by like 7:30 and stuff. Then some of our colleagues were only coming in at like 7:58. And Jesse and the other guys, Brian, were panicking. We're like, where's everyone? Where's everyone? It's like, come on, man, it's 2 minutes before time. Why are you panicking? It's not yet 8. Why are you panicking? Yeah, yeah. Back home, of course, you have to come on time, but there's 15 minutes gap period where if you walk in class before 8:15, you're still safe. And no one will be like, hey, why are you late and stuff like that. Yeah. Then
How are you received if you're late to class?
how you received when you're late for class? Well, if you pass the 15 minutes mark, you chest. You have to go out. You go back to your room. Why are you late? Yeah, yeah. And also, when you're in class, because the way our culture is, we've got great respect for our lecturers or anyone who's instructing us. So if you want to text or you want to walk out, you're thinking twice, like, hey, should I really go out? I mean, what is it going to think? So even I subconsciously think of, I'll delay my time to go to the loo because I don't want to be disrespectful, right? Just unconsciously there. Then also, when we got here, we're given an opportunity to call people by their first names, like John. You don't do that back home. You can't call someone who's your lecturer, someone who's older than you by their first name. You have to start with Mr. So, Mr. John.
I tried that. They were
You don't find it. Yeah. Yeah. That was good to learn. Yeah. First name basis.
Other questions? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing
Yeah.
that.
Nice. Yes. Yeah. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. Check. I'm supposed to be a musician by now. My parents are very supportive and stuff. I remember my dad on my birthday uh, got me a guitar and wanted to take me to the studio. I was saying I need to go to the studio and record a song. And he took me to the studio, very supportive, so I could record a song and whatnot. And I would keep a book where I'd write all the lyrics or all my songs and whatnot. And learned how to play guitar a bit, but I never advanced so much. Just remained a hobby. So I never released a song per se. Though what I've done is in the past, is to bring together some of the most renowned musicians in the country, and the type of music is influenced mainly by our culture, right? So we've got what we call kalindula, okay, kalindula. So that's like a local music style with a lot of guitar. I don't know if you know of the small instrument that should have brought it called the kalimba. It's a small thing where I think the guitar concept and everything came from. And so that's like African rooted within us. And so we'd actually do that. So that's kind of inspired them. So I got the artists in our country, brought them together, and did some songs. Did a song for our independence celebration, which is coming up in October this month on the 24th. Yeah. So my, you have a kalimba? Is it? Yeah, cool. Ah, yeah. That's a good souvenir to have. Uh-huh. Yeah, so in my spare time, I do play the guitar. Yeah, but just as a hobby. Uh-huh. This part for me was when I got back, I had other demands on my life, like school, right? And apart from that, I had family responsibilities. So I want to go full time with my organization running it, but also I need to support my family, like financially, because the organization is a non-government organization, it's non-profit, so it's not making any money. That's a real challenge. On the other part, you want your family to be well catered for in terms of their needs and stuff. So to have that balance for me, that was the hardest thing. Should I keep a formal job? Should I lose it and just concentrate mainly on this running this organization? That that was the biggest decision, biggest hurdle for me to face. Yeah.
I'm realizing schedule the cameras went past that 10-minute mark, so a bunch of cameras stopped recording.
Ah, okay.
And so we probably lost something in there as
In
everybody
between.
started recording again. But any other questions? No? Are you over there? Still there?
There's a question here.
Yeah. We saw crystal ball on your thing too. But Scott, you
Ah,
Sean?
okay.
I was just going to ask, how do you think people in Boone and people at App can get involved in
Yeah. In fact, I was hoping you would ask that question. Like, one of the major things that we need is skills, skills that you have. For instance, reaching out to the world with such material, like what I'm saying right now, and spreading it, the media content, to everyone else, right? That's a major issue. The second one is to do with fundraising. Okay? If we form great partnerships with people in Boone, even students, I believe there are many projects back home that we can do, that we can finance. For instance, I said earlier on, we are beginning, we're on an ambitious journey to create vibrant youth hubs. So we've got play parks, like, youth spaces, safe spaces, which were gazetted by the government, like some land, but it's lying dormant and it hasn't been developed because there's no resources. Yeah. Now we've tried to raise money for those institutions, and we've kind of hit a dead end. But we found out that it's easy to raise money through GoFundMe. I don't know if you know of GoFundMe. Yeah. You could also raise money through Facebook. They've got other platforms and stuff. But the problem we're faced with as Africans, the Mandela Fellows, is we're unable to access those platforms. Because when you fill in everything, your details, and you want to do those campaigns, you know what they ask for? They'll say, okay, what's your social security number? I don't have a social security number, so I'm blocked. But if I partner with you, who has a social security number, right, or become a partner in terms of you being the fundraising link here, and you manage the accounts and everything here, and make sure that the accounts are right, there's transparency, you know exactly how the money is being spent and whatnot, then we could do much together. Yeah, that's how you could help you guys. Yeah. Yeah. Because I noticed that there was a guy whose dog could no longer walk and needed some money for the dog to be able to walk. And they did a GoFundMe campaign. And we're able to do such things, right? And I'm not saying that's not important, that's important, but there are also other projects that could be done too, you know? So if we could work together like that, that would be good. Yeah.
What was, like personally, your opportunity to get involved with this project and now being here in the US?
So they advertised for a fellow in residence to come and share the stories of change and see how the challenges that they've met, and see how that person could potentially develop their professional side. And when I read out that, I thought our organization, Humanity Challenge Organization, needs a platform. It needs that space to spread the word out to everyone, because we're doing great things and we want the whole world to know about what we're doing and want to get more partnerships in what we're doing. So I was like, yeah, this is an opportunity to go get interactive with the students, get interactive with any other partners, and see how we see the world, see how we're living back home in Zambia or in Africa, and see how we could leverage any opportunities that could exist. Yeah. Yeah, it was chosen for me. It was chosen for me. Yeah, so the program has like a number of universities across the country, across the states. I think like 25. So Appalachian State was one of them, which was offering civic leadership. And let me make a confession. Um, I'd like to be the president of Zambia, my country. Yeah. And so when I took up an opportunity to do civic leadership, was to get on the ground and get engaging and see what are the issues affecting people and see how we could replicate what you guys have managed to achieve here back home.
I have one final question for you. We definitely have to pack up. We thank you
Yeah.
so much for your time. This
No,
has been
thanks.
very
Thanks,
incredible.
John. Thanks for the opportunity. Appreciate
We'll
it.
be in touch with the video footage too.
Yeah.
This is a question there's probably no short answer for, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I'm curious, especially hearing your aspirations for leadership in this world, in your country. Have you read the book Pedagogy of the Oppressed by Paulo Freire? Have you heard of it?
No.
It's a book about oppression and about oppressive situations. But you mentioned two things. In your resume, you mentioned corporate structure. Corporate infrastructure is the goal, is a desire to bring that to your home area. But in this talk you've just given us, you've spoken a little bit about corruption. And as I've discovered, as people gain power, especially according to this one book that I'm referring to, there's more of a potential for corruption as they get further along in a place of power, in a position of having something. And so how would you square that, so to speak, as more infrastructure and more money and funding comes to your area? How do we keep things on the side of equity and of social justice?
Yeah, if I've got your question right, I think the issue is we need a people-centered kind of development, right? We need a situation where power doesn't corrupt you absolutely. They say absolute power corrupts Absolutely, right? And whenever people are on the high horses, they begin to see people differently and they begin to do oppressive things to them. So it's recorded for us in history, okay? And yes, one thing that would really help out is corporate governance. And that's what we as an organization have been growing. Because when you have corporate governance, one thing you remove from the equation is certain individuals who get certain resources to enrich themselves and their families. When you have corporate governance, you have any resources which are channeled to an organization or to a country, they'll trickle down to everyone. And I don't like bureaucracy. I think bureaucracy has really killed many nations. Of course, it's got its place, but in a place where there's too much bureaucracy, you find that money is only remains at the top. So back home in Zambia, there's what we call account 91. Okay, so everything, all the resources go into that one account. So if you ever decide to donate anything to our country, it all goes into one account. And that one account is where they now begin to disperse the money. Now, if everything goes into one account, it's hard to keep track of which money went where and what it's been able to do. Has it been able to uplift the lives of those who are oppressed? And so having stronger institutions, I think this is something that America has. You have strong institutions. You've got strong, watertight procedures in terms of transparency and accountability. And as an organization, we've been growing and striving to build strong structures in organization to ensure that whatever we are given goes down to the people who are supposed to benefit. What led me here before we close is I used to, when I was a kid, I used to have a nightmare. So I'd sleep. You know, when you're a kid, you could actually sleep with your mom and dad, right? So I'd sleep with my mom and dad. And I remember waking up one night, and in the room I saw a lady, an African lady with a baby on the back, a baby in the front, young baby. She was poor, and on her head she had a basket of fruits that she was selling. So it's typical in our country, women would go around selling fruits from like with a bucket on their head because they're poor. So they want to get through the day and get some money to buy some relish. So I remember I was sitting on the bed and I was really young, and I opened my eyes and I saw someone like that. And I was like, I want to serve those people one day. I want to be able to reach out to those vulnerable people one day and uplift their lives from where they are. And so that keeps on driving me. Every time I go past the street, I see a homeless guy. Like even in Boone, I saw a homeless guy raising up a placard and said, I need somewhere to sleep and stuff. That just cut me to the heart and said, it's for this reason that we should do something about our communities and help them, uplift them. Let them give an excuse and say, I was just lazy and I didn't want to do anything about it. But let's give them everything. At least an opportunity, a stepping stone to be able to achieve their dreams and have a chance at life. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. I need to read that book.
Yeah,
Yeah. You should send me the name. I could order it. Yeah.